this morning. I need to get my voice about me. Let me try to share this out to groups really quick. Give me one moment. Hopefully I stay broadcasting. I called and yelled at the internet provider yesterday. I didn't yell at them, but I was like, wait, why did my music just cut out? Oh God. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, you know what? I forgot to change the title again. God, I keep forgetting. Okay. I wish there was a way to do this that was faster. I'm sorry, guys. All right. It's not for May. And I don't want that either. Thanks, Barbara. God, I'm no good at this. There's got to be a way to set. I need to set this up before going on camera, but there's no way to share it out to groups without doing it this way. So let me see here. And then I lose my music again. Great. Fucking great. I'm going to try and share this up doing it this way. There we go. There we go. All right. Yeah, it just doesn't let me share to groups anymore. It's so strange. Why does it? I don't know why. All right, I'm just gonna do this and I'll share it out to people later because I don't know about my bit rate. Let me just see. I'm gonna try and get these done. So this is for the air signs for Tarotscopes for January, the month of January. This is for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So this is for anybody that has a sun sign in those signs, or if you have heavily placed planets in the air signs, or like say your moon or your rising is in any of these three signs, you might want to watch this and kind of get a blend of what could be going on. This is a broad spectrum reading available to as many people who may watch it, or at least that's the intention. So if it doesn't all resonate with you, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's all exactly going to be what happens to you. Everybody has their different trajectories and paths and experiences. So it's just to kind of give you like sort of guideposts or expectations of what you might want to look out for, be aware of going into the month of June. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just waking up. I'm trying to do these at least one in the morning for the next 4 days so that I get them out early. So I'm kind of still in my wakey phase. All right, so let me switch cameras really quick and we'll get started. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. If you guys don't already know about my my channel over on YouTube, please go over and subscribe. This is also broadcasting there. I do not have a chat box up because it's faster for me to just broadcast this and then live, and then I'll go back and probably check out the comments later. If anybody has anything very specific or important that they need to share with me, or a question that they want to ask, they can always message me at the business page where this is broadcasting from. It's also broadcasting from YouTube. You can leave me a comment at YouTube. I'll see those comments more easily than the Facebook comments. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by either giving me a like, a share, a comment, definitely a subscribe, following the business page. All of those things are signs of support, and I greatly appreciate them. What else? If you want to follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333, you can do that. You can also, last but not least, get a monthly subscription over at Patreon. And Patreon You go over there and you look up Engelgeist, and you can pick a subscription level there and follow me. Get the daily forecast there early. So those of you that watch me on the daily forecast that might be watching me now, even though I can't see you chatting, I will be running the daily forecast once I finish this. So just bear with me. I will be a little bit late this morning. Okay, so let's see. What does Gemini need to know for the month of June? We're starting with the air signs because we're going into Gemini season, I believe, today. If not today, then it's going to be tomorrow. But we're definitely moving into that quicker mental energy of Gemini. And so I wanted to do the air signs first because we're leading into the Gemini season. I know that the new moon this Friday will be in Gemini. So that's kind of exciting during Gemini season. All right, so this center card is kind of where my Geminis are going to be resonating from most of the month. It's not the entirety of the month, but most of the month. Just gives us a little idea of not only where we're at, but what we're creating for the future. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So this is the Knight of Swords, guys. This is your guys' home element. Swords is the element of air. So we love seeing this going into Gemini season. To me, Knights are always about, first off, Knights are also sort of the element of fire, right? They can be like sort of the doers of the tarot. They're the sort of like faithful servants that we send out. The kings and queens of the court will send out to do their bidding, to protect them. They're the more active. So we've got this sort of fire, air activity going on in our center, which makes me feel like my Geminis, you guys are going to be busy in the month of June. You guys are going to feel revitalized, I feel like. I love how he's got his sword out and he's sort of like onward ho, right? Not to call my Geminis hoes, but y'all know you've been around. There's two of you, right? You're the twins. I'm just kidding. That's a little potty humor for first thing in the morning. If you guys can also share this stream out, anybody that is watching, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so, or tag your friends that you know that are air signs. So, with this energy here, to me, this feels like a productive, fast-moving energy, actually almost doubly fast. Air is a very fast, light energy to me in my sort of intuitive interpretation, right? But fire is even faster. It burns quicker. It actually requires air to burn. When the two of these come together, I feel like this is one of the fastest and most productive nights of the deck, right? So, and I mean, next to the Knight of Wands, like the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords would be kind of a good duel off for who gets the most done. So to me, it feels like June is going to be a very productive month for you guys. There might be some, as I'm looking at this, there might be some of you that might feel the need to sort of, how do I want to say this? Like defend yourselves or feel like, because the Knight gives me this idea or this sort of feeling of defense or not that we're, like there's a nobility to Knights, right? And it's sort of like, to me, this is about Gemini standing in their power and really owning it and being like what we know. And I say we, meaning my Geminis, what you guys know to be your truth. It's really sort of standing in it and really making active steps towards moving forward in that, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's a vitality to this card. Like I love how the horse is rearing up, ready to go, like ready to move into the month of June and throughout the month of June. Because this card is not just for the beginning of the month of June. This is like sort of where you guys are at throughout the month, off and on. And to me, this is an overall positive, productive, albeit fiery a little bit, like you might be fighting a little bit. There might be a little bit of like needing to defend your honor or the honor of somebody else, defend your beliefs or the beliefs of somebody else, defend your ideas, your thoughts. But you're going to do that, and you'll do that in a diplomatic manner. Knights to me tend to be diplomatic. Knights also tend to sometimes bring new information that we didn't otherwise always have. So there's that aspect to the month of June too. But I feel like whatever that new information may be, even if it's a bit surprising, I think it's surprising in our favor versus not. Like it's not, to me, it doesn't feel like we're being rocked or shook by any new information. It's more like we're taking in the new information and we're using it to our advantage. That's the rearing horse and the moving forward into the future with this idea of, or this awareness of, I am creating with my thoughts, with my action, right? Because that's the fire aspect of this Knight of Swords. With my thoughts and my actions, I sort of am creating the future that I want. So I sort of like this card. I mean, I do very much like this card for what you guys are trying to produce in the month of June. All right, the next card is the Foundation card. This tells me a bit about where my Geminis have been at in the recent past and why everything is the way that it is this month going into June. So we have this Four of Wands. Now this would explain why we have the Knight of Swords up here, right? Because the Knight aspect is that fiery energy, and the Four of Wands is all about, to me, about spiritual stability. When I look at this card, I feel like these people are planting these Four of Wands almost to create like a home in a way, or a sort of, how do I want to say this? Like, to me, this card, or the design of this card, always looks like these people are building like a fort or protection, stabilizing in their spirit or in the element of fire, and kind of gearing themselves up for whatever is to come, or preparing themselves for the sort of next level. And when I look at this card, the next level to me feels like this Knight is the actual, it being the Knight of Swords, is the fire of this Four of Wands blended with the air of this Knight, right? Or the swords of this Knight card, and kind of the strength behind all of that and moving that forward. This Four speaks to the idea of sort of building upon a relationship with the spirit or our deeper selves, trying to strengthen that relationship, trying to create a sort of an understanding of who we are at a deeper level. Maybe this is due to the pandemic and us, like Geminis being such thinkers, right? Maybe you guys have delved a little bit deeper at times throughout this isolation, throughout the isolation periods that we've been in. But what it has done is, I feel like it has sort of stabilized your connection to self. It has sort of maybe given you guys, I want to say almost like this all or like nothing is guaranteed kind of attitude is what I'm sort of feeling or hearing. And so because of that, what, instead of being like fearful or backing off, it's actually propelled you guys to sort of move forward, to be stronger, to sort of want to push forward in a more impactful way, so that you start to begin to take the struggles that you've maybe been facing or the things that you've been dealing with and make them work in your favor versus like cowering to them, falling to them. Does that make sense? So that's this Four of Wands to me. This is about spiritual strength being the foundation, and it being a four, it's also like almost doubly strong foundations, right? Where we've been working on that or building that, or that's been building within us, whether we realize it or not. And so going into June, we feel empowered to be like this Knight of Swords and move forward in a way that is not only sort of protective and noble, but also active and fiery in a way, and pushing forward, not sort of allowing others' expectations or ideas to block us, or new information to block us. We're taking it all in and utilizing it and pushing our way through in the month of June. Now, the next card, sorry, the next card is the Spirit or Soul card. This card is above you. This tells me a little bit about where your spirit or soul is at. Wow. All right, so we have the Seven of Wands. Sevens are always like sort of big choices, sometimes changes that need to be made. But when I look at this, I feel like, to me, this is about collaboration. It's interesting because I feel like these two people are talking, like they're coming into collaboration. That's the first thing that I hear or that I get from this card. Like, and this being in the spirit or soul space, not only do I see this man in all white who makes me think of spirit, and again, we have another fire sign, another fire card, right? It being wands, the element of fire. We have this four as our basis or as our foundation. We have this Knight of Swords, right? which is the element of air, which is our home element where we're most comfortable, but it's also a Knight, which is that underlying element of fire, or that productive sort of nature, that doing nature. And then we have this Seven of Wands in the soul space. To me, this is about making the correct decisions, trusting our intuition, trusting our spirit, making our decisions throughout the month of June in that way, in a place of strength. I feel like there is still that sort of collaboration or that awareness that's deepening between not only ourselves and spirit, but maybe ourselves and those around us. That's part of what we see here in this Four of Wands. But up here, it's like I feel like our spirit is asking us to make the choices or take the steps to continue to deepen this relationship. There's a deepening of this relationship in this Knight of Swords, if that makes sense to you guys. I maybe haven't had enough coffee yet, but to me, the fact that he's riding forward on this horse and doing so, like rearing his horseback kind of so confidently, he's leading with the power and the creativity of his mind. That's that sword in front of him, right? So to me, even doing that, or that being sort of our center for the month, that sort of excitement, that directness. I'm trying to think of different words that would go with this card. I may have signed on too early to do it this morning, but I feel like that energy is also this building trust, making the choice, making the decision to listen to that voice that's inside of us, that voice that's maybe within our heart. That's the more subtle, more quiet voice, right? That we maybe have found somehow in the last few months, that's allowed us to build this firm foundation so that we can sort of ride forward in clarity and in kind of like anticipation in a way. So this Seven of Wands to me speaks to the idea of strengthening that bond, making a conscious choice to choose to listen to our intuition, to listen to our spirit, to listen to what's in our heart. This could also be collaborations with those, making choices to collaborate with those outside of ourselves too. I think for some of you there is some of that going on, because I'm definitely looking at these two as if they're having a meeting. Some of you, I think that this guy in all white represents your own spirit or your own soul, and having that communion with them, right? That's what they're desiring. But I also think that for a very few, like there's a specific few of you, I don't know why I feel this way, but when I'm looking at this card, I feel the need to talk to a specific few of you, that there are like business dealings or opportunities for creation in the month of June, where you guys might be creating some sort of new idea, some sort of new business. And this is about the idea of making those choices and trusting your intuition and following that through, and doing that work in the month of June. I think that's also the riding forward of this Knight of Swords. So that's going to be maybe only for a few of you, but all of you are going to be having this sort of depth of awareness of what it is that your spirit maybe wants if you slow down enough to listen and to check in with that. And I believe that you will make time for that. That's sort of this Four of Wands down here, is this idea that I feel like, although it's a Wands card, which to me would be a less stable because it's that fiery energy, it is a 4 card, right? And it's sitting in the foundation position. So it means to me that you've taken this sort of more ephemeral aspect of self, this quieter voice, this more spiritual centered voice, and you've utilized it, and you have chosen to listen to it. And you will be strengthening that in the month of June. You're going to be getting intuitive hits, especially with this Knight of Swords. The swords aspect of it is those thoughts that come across your mind that maybe come from the subconscious or the intuition. You will be able to act on them and do so in a way that's like sort of productive. All right, so there will be results to be seen in the month of June, or if they're not in June, they're gonna start to come in July. But there is this productivity is like the word that I'm hearing. That June is about getting those wheels moving and getting these things like going. Like I feel like my Geminis aren't gonna sit still anymore. Now, the next 2 cards are what I call the outside influences. These cards give me a little bit of a idea of what might or might not be influencing you in the month of June. It also tells me a little bit about sort of, these influences can be people, sometimes places, or events. They can be things more vague like beliefs or energies that we have adopted or that are having an effect on us that we need to be aware of. So let me see. What is going on with you guys? So we have the Three of Wands. Why do I feel like somebody's trying to confuse my Geminis? I look at this Three of Wands, and Three of Wands is not necessarily a confusion card, but I feel this sense of confusion when I look at this. And then part of that is because these wands, if you look at the 4 wands that are stabilized here, right? And then you look at the wands here in the 7, they're all sort of moving in the same direction. To me, what's pulling my attention in this card is these 3 wands going back and forth. Somebody is putting their offer or their input in. I actually feel like this is a female somebody because this is a female representing on the card. And I feel like she might be close by to my Geminis. She might think a lot like my Geminis. We might be in sync with she might seem to be in sync with my Geminis, but I feel like she's not. And that's this sort of facing away. She's trying to help, and this may be for only a specific few of you. This doesn't necessarily have to be a female, but I would tell my Geminis to be careful of anybody that looks as though they are offering assistance, either through being a sounding board, playing devil's advocate, whatever that may be. I feel like their influence might be creating confusion for you guys, or could have the potential to create that confusion. This could be a fire sign, just keeping that in mind to narrow the field down a little bit. This could be Aries, Leo, or Sag. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but it could, just because this is a Wands card. But the thing that's really drawing my attention is the female standing here, and then the back and forth wands stacked on each other, which to me, and she's also looking to the future too, where my Geminis are heading on this Knight card. So to me, I feel like she's helping you guys, or trying to help you guys. This could be a sister for some of you. This could be, I don't feel like this is a mother. I feel like this is either a sister or a good girlfriend that might be of a fiery nature. I feel like she is actually maybe even for some of you younger than you guys, than my Geminis. But you guys trust her. But I feel like she has the potential to muck stuff up for you or cause confusion for you. I just think that the sense that I get from this card is be mindful of this person. Whether it's, male or female, be mindful of this person and their input. As much as you may love them, their input might slow you down, is what I feel like I want to say to you. And that's a very big might, because I feel like these 4 wands here are very stable. And that you guys have worked really hard for this, so you've got this firm foundation going on, and you've got the strength. You'll just bowl over this person. But this might be the person that I felt like earlier that you may have to defend your ideas or your thoughts to. If that makes sense, like whatever my Geminis are working on, be it a new relationship, be it a new business venture, whatever it is that you guys are heading towards in this Knight of Swords that you're kind of working your way towards, you might have to sort of defend your ideas, your goals, the route that you take to go about getting there. And some of that is okay, because that's this sort of 7 of Wands that we have, that sort of deepening relationship to spirit, that trust of oneself, all of that. Even if this person here is not sort of seeing our logic, our way of being, there's something new that's been created within us in the last few months that has become the foundation for why we're going to be operating the way that we are in June. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I don't think that she has a lot of power. I am going to say that, or this person has a lot of power. I do think that they do have the opportunity, or through their, I almost feel like through their own good intentions, quote unquote, they run the risk of sort of like just confusing you or slowing you down. So don't allow that to happen, or keep a lookout for that. Okay. We have the Hermit card. To me, this Hermit card is definitely an energy. To me, this is what this 4 of Wands is about. This is about pulling inward throughout the month of June, remembering to go inward, remembering to connect to self, to find the fire or the light within, remembering to take those quieter moments that we maybe have experienced in the last few months. I know my Geminis are going to launch out of the gate in June, and you guys are going to want to be busy, productive. That's this Knight of Swords energy. It's that air upon fire. They both feed off of one another. There could be a lot that could be getting done this month, especially with all of these fire cards here. There's a sort of an activity or a, what's the word? Not haste, but like a what's the word that I want to use for this? There might be like feelings of anticipation, excitement, that sort of thing might be pushing my Geminis a little bit, wanting to get on the road, get it going. It's that fiery nature. This Hermit card says to me, this is an energy or an opportunity to, when you have those times to go back into the cave, when you have those times to go back in and sort of recheck with yourself, you need to do it. I feel like there's more strength here in this card than there is in this well-mannered friend or family member that might be sort of throwing us off in a way, confusing us. To combat that confusion, we need to stop and take the time to go back inward throughout the month of June. You know, if it's at the end of our day or the beginning of our morning while we're having coffee, we need to have that communion with the spirit, with our intuition, with our deeper self, and the way that we're going about things. Does that make sense? Utilizing that time to strengthen ourselves. There's big strength and big knowledge. This being the Hermit and the only major arcana card that you guys have thus far for the month, this is where your money shot is, so to speak. This is where your growth comes in. This is where you get this soul connection. This is where you take those opportunities to make this active choice that we see in the Seven of Wands to commune with ourselves, with our own intuition, with our own desires, with our shadow selves, even for some of you, right? And do some of that work in the month of June so that you have a better understanding of who you are and how to move forward. And there's going to be, I feel like, quite a bit of forward movement all throughout June. Even if that doesn't necessarily mean like physical forward movement for some of you, it might just mean like mental or spiritual growth movement within ourselves, where layers of ourselves become exposed, or we become more aware of ourselves and what it is we want. We're going to become more grounded and understand exactly what that is at a deeper spiritual level. Like, where are we fulfilling our life's purpose? Where are we fulfilling what it is that we want? Right? So I feel like this is actually a really beautiful, powerful reading for the Geminis. This is going to be a really sort of transitional month as far as the way that I'm looking at these cards. Is it feels like there's definitely this depth of appreciation of self and awareness of self that is going to continue to go on if we allow it, especially through this Hermit card, and it will bring great reward. Okay, but we have to stop and slow down and bring ourselves back to that and not get too caught up with, outside opinions and that sort of a thing. All right, so let's see. This last card is what I call the potential outcomes for my Geminis. So this is sort of where things are going to go, barring that nothing major changes, right? This is sort of like the natural outcome for the month of June. It's not necessarily set in stone. So this is always available to being changed through choice. We have free will, so we can make choices and changes at any given time. If this is a card we don't like, we don't have to take it to heart. We can always use it as a warning to make choices and changes now to go a different route. So this just gives us an idea. The beautiful part is if it's a great card, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally just moving our way towards this card this month. Okay? Oh, I don't like this. All right. So this is the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords to me has a couple of different meanings. And I'm going to say this. There is some shadow work going on for my Geminis. That's in this Hermit card, and that's in this Three of Swords. And it really is about how aware do my Geminis want to become in June. And the reason why I say that is I feel like this Three of Swords, which is definitely air energy, which is a really good energy to end the month on or to outcome the month on. Does that make sense? Because it's your home element. I feel like there is work happening here. It's this fiery wands energy that's happening all around you. You even have fire represented here in this torch and the Hermit. It's kind of interesting. To me, it's sort of like this desire to know oneself at a deeper level for my Geminis, and to understand that intellectually by the end of the month. right? That is sort of, and that is your thing, right? You guys are thinkers. There's no way around it, right? And so this Three of Swords to me feels like we might have to look at or deal with, consciously make a choice to hermit ourselves or go inward at times to deal with some of the stuff that lays over this, or this actual heartbreak, this actual pain, this actual sadness. Do you understand? It's interesting we have these two threes here also. This Three of Wands kind of being this source of support, yet also potential confusion that could be around us. This could be misleading information. This could be what's the word I want to look for? Hot and cold signals being given to you from, say, a friend or a loved one. This could be just sort of confusion in general. Not that they're intentionally trying to throw you off. I don't want to give you that idea, but you might be seeing somebody in a different light. There might be some things that you have to question because, you know, somebody's well-intentioned ideas are getting in the way of what you know to be true. But that's because you're sort of trying to do this deeper, I would almost call this like shadow work or heart-centric work, where you're understanding mentally where your heart and your emotions are at. Do I feel like this is a good card for you guys? I do. I feel like this is hard work for you guys by the end of the month of June. I feel like your intentions with this Knight of Swords in the center are noble and pure and beautiful, but it's like what you guys are signing up to do, or what you guys are sort of pursuing, is maybe a level of work that you haven't always aspired to, right? And that's okay. That's the beauty of what you guys want to do, right? Especially in your birthday month. But there could be some unearthing of some pain, some sadness, some old stuff. That's this Three of Swords to me. I also love that this angel is here and he's pointing to the future, if you can see that. Let me just show you this up close. To me, he feels like our spirit guide or our guardian angel trying to show us how to get up out of our emotions. Do you see my Gemini lady down there in the stream with her little booby hanging out? To me, it feels like you guys might be feeling a little bit of your emotions throughout the month. That's okay. I think that this is about exploring and understanding them at an intellectual level and being able to sort of heal them in some way and move towards the future. I don't feel like we have to do this alone. I do feel like this angel is sort of a guardian angel for us, or a spirit guide that we can call in to help us move through some of these harder times that we might experience, or some of this heartache that we might experience. I do get a feeling when I'm looking at this Three of Swords, this is not new heartache. I feel like this is my Geminis, because we have so much Wands energy or fire going through the center here. This is about my Geminis being forged through like working your way through the pain of the past and releasing it in these moments that are given to you throughout the month of June, to find the strength, the knowledge, the balance that is within this hermit energy. And as you do that, like the visualization that I get is the, like, you know, the peeling back the layers of the onion. And this is where we begin to see layers that are underneath there that we maybe need to release or let go of. We need to pull those swords out and realize that our heart is still beating and beautiful and full and working and unbreakable, really. Right? And we're going, I get this distinct sense as I say that to you, that I hear this like voice in my head, not to sound crazy, but I do hear this voice that says, we're going to do this. This is the determination of this Knight of Swords. We're heading towards it. This is where we want to go, guys. Even if it might be painful, or even if it might feel like we're dredging up the past, there's like healing that's taking place, I feel like, because this hermit energy and this Three of Swords to me feel like there's a healing. This being in the spirit or soul space says to me there's a conscious choice being made to connect to ourselves at a deeper level. It's what our spirit wants. I hope that makes sense for my Geminis. I can't see any comments. If anybody is commenting right now, please like the video, please share it out. I'm going to go to the next sign, which is Libra. Sorry, I was a little wonky in the beginning. I'm still waking up. I should have made a second cup of coffee before starting this, but We're in it to win it now. All right, so I'm going to move on to Libras. Thank you all for tuning in. Please share this out. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. Let your friends know. All right, let's get into my Libras. What are my Libras looking at for June of 2020, guys? The energy of Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, or heavily placed planets in the sign of Libra. I have a couple of Libra planets, actually, which I didn't know about. I've been studying my chart more and more, trying to understand what's in what. There's also like different asteroids like Ceres, Pella, and another one, Juno, knowing what they're in and how we deal with men in our lives, how we deal with women in our lives. That's, I believe, Ceres. And I believe Pella is how we deal with men. And mine's in Scorpio, so All right, Libras, what do we need to know for the month of June for all my lovely Libras? Sun, Moon, Rising. Venus, heavily placed planet in Libra. What do we need to know? Okay, so this is your center, guys. This is where you guys are going to be at the majority of the month, in and out of this center. That gives me an idea of sort of what you're working on, where you're focused at, what you could be potentially creating for the future. So you guys are the Three of Wands. My Libras might be a little confused in the month of June, or at least going in and out of confusion. It's funny to me, maybe my Libras, I said it could be a fire sign for the Geminis, but maybe it's the Libras that are going to be like confusing the Geminis. I don't know. To me, I feel like there is this definite like idea of working towards the future, but I kind of get this impression, again, these three wands going in different directions to me feel like Libra can't make up their mind in the month of June, or at least heading into June, what it is that you want, or where it is, how it is going to play out. And I feel like, to be honest, when I'm looking at this card, it feels quite uncomfortable. Like I want to say that my Libras want to make a plan. You guys do best with a plan. But for some reason, you feel unable to make the plan. Like, I feel like it looks like her hand is up over her eye. Like she's looking to the future, right? But she can't see how it's going to roll out. And that feels a little bit bothersome to my Libras, right? I feel like you guys want to be a little bit more methodical in the way that you go about things in this month of June. But to me, this card feels a little bit like being pulled back and forth. There's this idea of wanting to be dynamic, wanting to get things going, wanting to move forward, but not really quite sure how is the best way to describe this card. Doesn't mean that, and I don't want to say to you guys that this means that you're not going to get anything accomplished in the month of June. I don't think that that's the truth. It just feels like there could be some stop-start energy for my Libras. You guys might say, okay, I'm going to do it this way in the beginning part of June, and then you find yourself stopping and going, wait, is that really working out? And maybe pausing and reassessing, and then going forward in, say, a different way or a different route, say, in the latter part of June. This is about kind of this sort of back and forth energy of activity, of wanting to move forward, and maybe having to go back to the drawing board a little bit. I do feel like there's this resistance, though, or this, like, the best way to describe this is I look at this card and I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like you guys want a clear path, and there's not a clear path this month in June for you guys, or at least you're not seeing it if it is there. I'm not going to say it's not there. I'm going to say that you guys are kind of caught up in your inability to see it, and you're focusing on that versus trusting your own internal guidance, if that makes sense. Now let's look at the foundation card. This is sort of why things are the way that they are for the month of June, like what sort of opened the door for things to be the way that they are. So we have the Knave of Chalices. All right, so something has gone on for my Libras emotionally that has brought about what I think is, okay, something, I feel like my Libras have gone through something emotionally. There's been some sort of shift or change. There could be some breakups or loss of jobs for some of you. There's been something that has been an emotional period that you guys have gone through, and I would say the last month or two, that has been fairly significant. but it has taught you guys a fair amount. That's the Knave energy of this card. It has been emotional in nature. I don't feel like you guys are off your center, but to me, I do feel like it was jarring enough or disturbing enough to be like bothersome or upsetting emotionally, right? I feel like it's required you guys to kind of go back to the drawing board or change. You guys feel a little bit more guarded, or you have felt a little bit more guarded leading up to this point now in June. That's some of this confusion energy that I feel like is going on in this Three of Wands. It doesn't say to me, like I said, that you're not going to get things done. It does say to me that you guys are being a little bit cautious, maybe, because of whatever you've learned in the recent past around sort of this emotional experience, this sort of loss, this sort of shift or change. You know, maybe it's the loss of freedom in the pandemic. I'm not exactly sure, but to me, it has taught you guys something. It has sort of shown you, it's grown you in some sort of way. It has taught you how to defend yourself a little bit more, how to seek out sort of, like, what's the word I want to use? Like better goals or better desires. But I feel like you guys are also a little bit tentative in this Three of Wands about how to go about getting them. I do feel like those desires are in the background. That is this castle in the background for me, right? I'm looking at this castle and I feel like this is like the long-term goal for the Libra, but the Libra is a little bit dealing with some emotional stuff. They're a little bit guarded. That's this, I'm seeing this shield here, which says to me they're letting down their shield a little bit, but they still have it in place in case they need to whip it back up real quick. Right? And that says to me that that's where you guys have learned about some sort of experience recently, some sort of loss or change, shift, that you thought you could see the path clearly, you thought you were on it, and it sort of has opened the door for you to feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit unsure. And I think that's part of the challenge in the month of June, is to get that self-assuredness back, that calm back about you. I don't feel like these, it is a sense of calm. Like I feel like you guys are sort of, not that you're like super emotional. I don't get that from the Knave. I get that the confusion in the Three and the learning in the Knave creates this idea of you guys are like almost opening up a new chapter or beginning a new chapter, and you're very aware of that. And because of that, you're kind of moving tentatively through the month of June. Does that make sense? And so you're doing it for your own best interest, though. That's the Knave energy of this Knave of Chalices. I feel like you guys are holding yourselves almost like with kid gloves, or from a place of trying to keep things emotionally stable and just being careful about how you step forward is the best way to describe these two cards together to me. Now, the next card is your Spirit or Soul card. This tells you a little bit about where your Spirit or Soul is at. So this is the Ace of Wands. Okay, so, hello, bitch. This is, my Libra soul is going, all right, let's let go of that confusion energy. You can trust me. Okay, so this Ace of Wands could not be a more beautiful, better, spiritually oriented card. Wands is the element of fire and the element of spirit. Your spirit is all over you in the month of June. I just think that you guys are like trying to maybe not trust it, but you kind of go in and out with that Three of Wands in the center. It's sort of like this connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. If I connect too much, what if I get hurt? Like in the past, I don't want to do that. So it's like, it almost feels like these two are kind of battling it out. And this is underneath it all going like, come on, let's go, let's go. This Ace of Wands to me is about inspired, fiery, new growth. This sort of idea of being centered and feeling gorgeous and relaxed and inspired to move forward in such a way that you're open and spiritually like, I mean, look at the difference between what you guys are sort of producing. She feels much more tense in the Three of Wands versus open in the Ace of Wands, right? To me, this feels like your spirit is telling you, like, let's enjoy this. Let's create in the moment. Let's trust. Let's be inspired. And there's something emotionally that we've learned from our past that is maybe not fully holding us back, but it's making us tentative. Maybe we're afraid of, for some of you, you might be afraid of getting hurt. Some of you, you might be afraid of like letting down your walls and being vulnerable. But this Ace of Wands to me speaks to this idea of um, maybe new ideas around what is vulnerable, maybe new ideas. I mean, I love how she's holding this flower wreath around her with her arms wide open, like totally vulnerable, but she has a giant wand behind her, like protecting her, almost making her stronger, right? So she has this connection to spirit and to herself that is available to her and just needs to sort of, it needs to be called in and trusted in the month of June. And there might be some of that happening. That's that Three of Wands. Maybe some moments you're able to trust and call it in, and then at other moments you get a little bit nervous and let it go and go back to what feels safe. And that's okay. That's fully acceptable. But let me tell you, this Ace of Wands in the spirit space says that the goal is much bigger than what you might be allowing for in the month of June. Okay? So be prepared for and this is just ideas or like what's coming up in my mind right now is I want to tell you guys to be prepared for being stretched, like in the sense like spiritually or challenged in the, and I don't mean this in a bad way. What I mean is it's going to promote your own growth. It's going to promote your own trust. It's going to promote your own sort of depth with your relationship to yourself and your own spirit. It's going to inspire you, but it might also seem scary at times or out of control or not really as methodical or planned out as you would normally like to be. But you're going to have to trust that. This Ace of Wands to me is not sitting in the spirit space. Says to me that you guys have got some heady energy coming your way that you're going to have to, that might actually challenge you to step up to the plate. And so some of you may step up to the plate, some of you might step up to the plate and then step back down and then step back up again, and that's completely acceptable and fine too. But you guys are going to have to make that decision, if that makes sense, and choose that for yourself. That's this Three of Wands. All right, so the next two cards are the outside influences. These are the cards that sort of tell me what's influencing us during the month of June. These can be people, events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that we've adopted that are having an effect on us that may not even belong to us. Oh wow, okay, nothing happened here, Libra. We've got the Death card. What is it that we need to let go of, Libra? Death is a beautiful card because death is about freedom and transformation to me. Most people fear the Death card. I don't fear the Death card. This card to me, I feel like this dance with death that's happening here is about sort of the fear or trepidation, the worry that's in that Three of Wands that I sense that you guys need to let go of. That you guys want to let go of. That's that Ace of Wands. That's that pushing desire deep within you that wants to let go of anything that sort of limits you in the month of June. And I think that there's a duel happening between this Death card and this Ace of Wands that's creating this trepidation in the Three of Wands, right? Where Death is saying, come dance with me. Come, let me like sort of change you. Let me let you release whatever it is that's no longer serving you, right? And that's sort of what we see in this Knave of Chalices, of this dropping of this shield a little bit. As we sort of shed the things that we need to let go of, or whatever death sort of brings about for us. And this is more like an energy. This might be experiences. This could be losses of relationships or things that we sort of need to let go of. Treasures are to be found here. There's a little treasure box down at the bottom. Like we learn more about ourselves. We learn more about what we want, what we deserve, what we want to create. All of that comes from the Death card, right? But we have to be willing to sort of face those challenges. And so this is, death is major arcana. It's no joke. It is a challenging card. But I feel like it also brings with it this opportunity for new horizons, rebirth, the birth of this Ace of Wands. You know, again, it's funny, I saw a lot of fire energy in Gemini, and with you guys, I feel like it's not so much that it's a lot of fire energy, but I feel like my Libras are being forged in the month of June in a different way, too. You're being challenged by this Death card, because they're dancing, but they're also facing the future. So to me, I feel like they know you have to come up against this before you can move forward. That's the best way to describe this. And it's funny because, like, if I move this card over, she's straight looking right at death and in the same direction that death is looking at, right? So my Libras know you all want to move forward, right? But you're kind of like, oh shit, do I want to challenge that just yet? Do I want to deal with that just yet? And this guy, our foundation, which is this sort of knave of chalices, which would represent like sort of a youthful, emotional experience, or an experience where we don't feel as self-assured or as uh, um, emotionally like what's the word? I don't want to say intelligent because it's not about that, but I feel like emotionally capable, right? There's this youth to this card, right? That speaks to this idea of maybe feeling unsure of ourselves at the foundational level emotionally, and he's facing like the past, right? He's saying, why can't we just go back to how it was? And death is saying, bitch, how it was not how we need it. Come dance with me, ho. Like, I don't mean to call my Libras hoes, but I that's what I'm feeling like is going on here. Is like, come play with me and be reborn into her. Like this Ace of Wands. She is ready to dance. She is feeling her oats. So like I feel like there is this opportunity here that is being presented to us through this idea of letting go, through this idea of release for my Libras that could be very challenging yet very transformative. Like, no joke. All right, so let's see what the other outside influence is. And we got the Four of Pentacles. So Libra's a little bit looking for some stability. So there could be a stable windfall in the month of June. That would be good. I like that. This Pentacles energy is a more balanced earth energy, right? We have sort of the death card swirling over here saying, come on, let's go towards the future. Libra's going like, wait a second, I want to get everything sort of stabilized. I do feel like this Four of Pentacles feels like this is the opportunity for that in the month of June. You guys might be able to seek that out and get that sort of material aspect of self, or what's going on in the home life, in the work life. Hopefully some of my Libras will find the opportunity to stabilize that. I also think that this could be help in that manner, if that makes sense, because he seems to be rushing forward into the center of this spread. So there could be opportunities for growth in our career realm, or stability created in our career realm through the help of others. Allow for that to happen. I love that. Look at this, guys. He is carrying the scales, which is the symbol for Libra. I would say this. I wouldn't be surprised if some of y'all met like an earth sign or some male that could come into your life that could bring you back your mojo, or could make you feel your mojo. It's sort of funny to me, but like as I'm looking at these cards all together now, and maybe I'm crazy, but this might be for one specific Libra, but there could be an earth sign dude that's somewhere circling around you guys in the month of June that is going to come in and remind you of who you are and what you're about. And you're going to have to release the emotion and the attachments that you have to previous relationships that have gone bad through this death card, so that you can better be with this man. Right now, you're so busy looking at like sort of the fear or the vulnerability of doing the work that's required here to let go of what is the foundation for why you operate the way you do in your relationship. But you need to, because this guy has got something for you. He has got something. He's got an understanding of you. He's got a perception of you that, to me, and that's the scales that he's holding, to me, that brings like this stability, this awareness of who you are. It empowers you. It brings you also closer to this Ace of Wands that we have up in the soul space. Like, he sees you the way that you are in this card, in this Ace of Wands, if that makes any sense at all. And that might just be for a few specific Libras, but keep an eye on that. If any hot Taurians or Virgos or Capricorns, it doesn't have to be an earth energy, but it very well could be, this being a Pentacles card. It is springtime, mating season. We all sort of get our feathers in a ruffle. Who knows? Maybe, the states reopen. So do we, how it goes. I don't judge, girl. I'm ready to, bloom like a flower too, my Libras, so don't worry. So keeping that in mind, that could be what's going on in these cards for some of you specifically. Now, this last card is the um, potential outcomes for the month of June for my Libras. This card is not set in stone. It is only a guide of where things are naturally heading, barring that nothing major changes, right? So the beauty about this card is that if it's something negative, we can use it as a warning to make choices and changes in our lives to affect the outcome so that this doesn't come to pass. But if this card is a positive, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally sort of heading towards it and just sort of keep things as normal and let things unfold towards this energy. All right, or this card. I love it! Queen of Wands. Okay. She is feeling herself. My Libras are feeling themselves by the end of the month of June. So the Three of Wands that we see, the confusion that we see, sort of is let go of. My Libras are going to deal with their shit, if that makes any sense. That's my feeling here. The Queen of Wands is what we call like sort of the. There's a great tarot reader named MJ Cullinane. She makes beautiful decks like the Crow Tarot and Wise Dog Tarot, Grimalkin, and all of that. And she has coined the phrase of the Queen of Wands, which I think is perfect, is the Beyonce card. And I believe that. She's this sort of fiery, empowered, sexual, sensual, appreciates herself on so many different levels, at a deep level of spirit that is like kind of just super empowered, right? And so to me, this Queen of Wands feels like that energy. It feels like getting ourselves closer to this Ace of Wands. A large amount of sort of emotional work, letting go, opening ourselves up to be maybe potentially being vulnerable to others, stabilizing our income sources. All of that stuff is going to transpire in the month of Libra in as how do I want to say this? In as quickly as you allow it, in as fast as you want it to come in. That's this energy of the wands happening here in the three, the ace, and the queen. It can come in real quick if we want to, like, cut loose and just let it all come in, or we can like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. But the truth of the matter is, this Queen of Wands says to me that regardless of which way my Libras choose to do it, you will get to a place that feels much more empowered, much more in control, much more authentic. And by the end of the month, you're going to be feeling really good at where you're seated. It may not be the end of the journey for you, right? There still may be more work to be done because a queen is not quite an ace, but you guys did a huge portion of the work, if that makes any sense at all. Or you guys will do a huge portion of that work. You will face this sort of death card, or looking at what's not working and having to let it go no matter what maybe the emotional ramifications of that, right? You're not going to allow like sort of the insecurity of this knave to sort of drive you all month long. You're going to do the work, take the learning, and grow it into something that's far more desirable for you. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, Libras. Please leave me a comment later in the month and let me know what has transpired. If any of y'all get some sexy Taurians that show up knocking at your door, let me know. I feel like generally the Four of Pentacles is not a love card, but I feel like in this reading, with everything that's going on, especially with this knave down here, to me, and the way that he's positioned and the fact that he's carrying those goddamn scales says to me that he is boom. And here's the funny thing too, just another point of note, we've got this friggin' shield here. He's got his shield behind him. He ready to be vulnerable, girl. He's ready to climb the little mountain to get to you, or do the work to get to you. He's been willing. He might be somebody that's been hanging in the periphery that you haven't noticed. He's going to potentially step forward in June. Get your shit together, Libra. That's my feeling on that card. And Four of Pentacles is not really a romantic card to me at all, but This feels like he is bringing you back, like your mojo, how Stella got her groove back. Like he is seeing you in the way that you are trying to become. And if you allow him to see you, or this could be, let me say this to some of you that aren't those of you that are maybe already in a significant other relationship and you're fine and you don't want any changes to that. This could be the material world also presenting you with opportunities to see yourself as you want to become, not as you feel as though you are. Does that make sense? And when you allow yourself to be seen that way, or to be in situations that present this better version of yourself, which is these scales here, right? That gives you your mojo back. You start to settle into this Queen of Wands energy. You start to settle into this sort of fiery, dynamic, self-empowered belief in oneself that you might be feeling that you're lacking going into June. Okay. I hope that makes sense. If it does, please leave me a comment at the YouTube page, because I'll read those comments more quickly and easily, or leave it on the business page at my Facebook business page. Please share this video out, my Libras. Tell your friends about it. Help me to build my subscription base. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month in July. All right? Thank you for tuning in. Have a good day. All right, guys. My last air sign. Thank you for all of you that have watched all the way through. This is for my Aquarians, which my moon is in Aquarius, so I am going to pay attention to this reading. I mean, I take myself out of it, but I always think that there's a little bit of me in it, so y'all should want a little bit of me in ya. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's see. What does my Aquarians need to know? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, heavily placed planets in Aquarius. Please let me know. What do they need to know for June 2020? Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I gotta change the title on this to June so people know. Sorry that it's mismarked May, guys. Share this video out. Tomorrow will be the water signs in the morning, just so you guys know if I have any water signs that are watching. What do my Aquarius need to know for the month of June of 2020? Interesting. Okay. So this first card is sort of where you guys are at in the beginning of the month, okay? Or not in the beginning of the month, throughout the month. This is where you guys are centered at, and sort of what you're going to be experiencing, potentially creating for, you know, going throughout the month, okay? Sorry, a little bit of a brain fart. I need more coffee. All right, so interesting. So we had with Gemini, we had one of the next card for Libra lead, a card that was significant in Gemini. And then we had a card in Libra that was significant. The foundational card for Libra is now the lead card for my Aquarians. It's interesting. This is the Knave of Chalices, right? Aquarians are the water bearers. Even though they're air signs, I love that they're the water bearers. I always get a little bit confused in a sense, because you think of aquarium or Aquarius, right? You think it would be a water sign. This being a water sign or a water card, the element of water, and that of cups in your center, says to me that there might be June might be a bit of an emotional month for you guys. I don't get that this is a bad feeling card in this particular position as I'm looking at this. I feel like you guys are sort of clearing away a little bit of whatever it might be, not holding you back per se, but whatever like residue or needs to sort of be dealt with. It's time to take care of it, Aquarians. It's time to do it so that we can move towards the castle, is the feeling that I'm getting. I feel like the focus is on that emotional inner work. That's the Knave aspect of this card, is sort of getting that learning, gaining that knowledge. I feel like you guys have your shields down, which to me is a good thing in this reading, right? This feels more present time, and this is going to sound a little bit weird to you, but this being in this position for the month of June for my Aquarians feels like it's more focused on how we're feeling now in the given present moment throughout the month of June than what it felt like in the foundational period position for Libra. Libra, it felt like focused in the past. When I look at this card right now, it feels like my Aquarians are actually doing emotional work in the present moment, letting their shields down and kind of looking at things and learning about where they're at emotionally, why they're feeling what they're feeling, what makes them feel good, what they need to do to sort of move towards that. Right? That's this castle in the background. I don't feel like you guys are focused on the past. I feel like it's about the work in the now, emotionally, that is going to move us, that is going to teach us, that is going to move us forward in what it is that we want. Okay? So that is definitely the vibe that I'm getting from this card. It's giving me a different vibe than where it was in Libra. So you guys be prepared to maybe feel a little bit more emotional around things. This could be sadness, this could be aggravation, this could be frustrations, right? But I feel like when I look at this card, like I feel like my Aquarius, are dealing with it in very productive manners, right? I feel like you guys are consciously setting that shield down and facing yourselves on some level in the month of June. And it's like, and I also feel like as I'm looking at this card, I really feel like my Aquarians are thinking about doing this. Like, you're not, to me, like I look at this card and this feels like a conscious decision or choice. Like, okay, I can no longer do this way. I need to learn a different way. So I need to look at this and understand why this is, why I'm doing this, or why I'm, I need to me, this feels like there's a sense of learning and gaining of mastery in the emotional department for my Aquarians. Through self-care, through letting down our shields, through knowing that we deserve something more than what we're getting, and keeping that as our focus as we do the work on ourselves. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's actually a really empowered card for your center. Now, let's go to the foundation card. This sort of tells me a little bit about why things are the way that they are and what brought us here. Makes sense, bitch. Okay, we have the Ten of Swords. Oh shit! Ten of Swords, tens are always about completion, which is great. Swords being your element of air. I would say my Aquarians have been struggling with some defeat stuff. That's okay, because this is the end of a cycle. But to me, this is about being stabbed in the back, stabbed in the front, stabbed every which way from Sunday, or feeling that way, right? And trying to make sense of it, trying to understand maybe where did I go wrong, what choices did I make, why did I allow them to do that, why didn't I listen to my intuition, whatever it is that my Aquarians are going through or have been going through. This has led us to this point where we're now ready to sort of move on by doing the emotional work and learning from it. Okay? Not holding on to the past. That's the completion aspect of this 10. This is about letting go of the sort of the misdeeds of the past, either done to us by others or we've done to others and it's failed us, right? Or it didn't quite work out for us. This is about letting some of that detritus and best way to put it is stinking thinking, about letting it go. And in doing that, when we offer ourselves that completion, we open up this door for this idea of learning about, our emotional selves, letting our guard down, and healing ourselves. There's a healing that is taking place in this Ten of Swords too. When you look at these two women, they're tending to this soldier that's laying on the ground that's harmed, and they're in all white. They're nurses, of course, but to me, they look like spirit, right? So to me, this feels like my Aquarians have probably allowed spirit in on some level to help heal our minds, our thoughts, our experiences that maybe have haunted us in some way, shape, or form, that maybe have defined us in some way, shape, or form. We're ready to release that. We're ready to let that go. And we're ready to learn about new aspects of self and feeling that we maybe didn't otherwise feel as though we had access to. We might have been dwelling or stuck on, how dare they do this to me, that kind of a thing. That would be this Ten of Swords. But you know what? We're letting that go. This is the foundation of what's pushing us forward and putting us in the more present moment with our emotions and not forcing us, but allowing us the opportunity to learn. Okay, in the month of June. So this next card is your soul or spirit card. This tells me a bit about where your soul or spirit's at in all of this and what it wants for you. Ooh, get it. All right, so there is romantic cards in the deck. The Lovers obviously being one of the most romantic, but I would say, you know, next to some of the Cups, court cards and things, this would be the second most romantic card in the deck. This is the Two of Cups. Okay, look at these two. Just frolicking and feeling it. Get it? Alright, so... I'm going to say this. Some of my Aquarians are going through some mad breakup energy, is what I'm feeling when I look at the three of these cards together, right? I feel like for some of you very specifically, this is about a breakup happening, and this Two of Cups in the spirit space says to me that this is you guys sort of being done with this, and your spirit wanting you to be able to love again. Your spirit wanting you to be able to drop this shield and do the work so that you can love again. And my Aquarians are doing that. That's this castle in the background. That's this idea of, okay, I'm gonna do this work because I know that I deserve more, I know that I want more, and our spirit wants us to know that. Now, this could be also the relationship to oneself. For those of you that are in relationships that are happy or good or are fine, this could be healing the sort of past experiences, say with, you know, our parents or siblings or good friends or coworkers, whatever, wherever we feel like there may have been defeat or betrayal or upset, whatever it is that, you know, we've maybe used as our, how do I want to say this, used as part of our identity in some ways, we're going to let go of that, okay? And in doing that, we open ourselves up to this sort of deepening love within ourselves, maybe with people that have wronged us, maybe with our own partner. For those of us that aren't partnered, this might be the opportunity to open ourselves up to the idea of getting partnered. We are, you know, in full board June at this point, so it is, like I said in Libra's reading, it is mating season, guys, so that stuff is going to be like heightened for us, and the idea of having that, the promise of that, this coming down from our spirit on a more subtle, intuitive level is also going to be what sort of compels us to want to move forward and do this emotional work, okay? So keeping that in mind, there is a goal here. That goal might be just to be in a deeper emotional connection to ourselves or to those around us that are platonic friendships and family members. But for some of us, this is definitely a romance thing. For some of us, this is about healing a past romance so that we can move on and find new love that's more better suited to us. Okay? And some of us, it's just about opening up that emotional connection to ourselves and deepening it. Okay? So the next two cards are the outside influences. These cards tell me a little bit about sort of what's going on around us. It's influencing us in the month of June. Some of these can be sometimes people, events, sometimes things more vague, like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us in the month of June that we want to be made aware of. So we have the Six of Wands. It's funny, the Six of Wands does not always come off as a judgment card, but I feel mad judgment happening from this six. It's strange to me. I'm going to tell you why I feel this. So, like, I feel like he's doing this work. My Aquarians are doing in the present moment. We're sort of maybe not dealing with the worry of the future right now. We know that it's out there for us, and we're working on ourselves to sort of better ourselves so that we're better prepared to get there. With this Six of Wands, it's these two people on a horse, right? And they're facing right back at my Aquarian who's doing his work. And I feel like their fiery nature of the wands makes me feel like they might be judging, they might be a little bit spiteful. This could be friendship circles, this could be, to me this feels like this could be people that maybe aren't understanding the work that we're going through or that we've put up with. This, it's this weird feeling, like I hear this card saying like, oh, just get over it. Oh, you're fine the way you are, just don't even worry about it. And it's like, to me, for my Aquarians, I feel like you guys know that you're not fine. That's this Ten of Swords is the foundation. You know that you've been hurt. You know that you need to let it go. You know that you no longer need to dwell in it. And I feel like this Six of Wands feels like maybe people that don't get that don't quite understand that. I feel like they don't maybe understand why you're putting yourself through what you're putting yourself through, but what you are putting yourself through is the release of some of this um, past traumatic drama, right? Or mental strain, and opening yourself up to the idea of the beauty of this Two of Cups, right? This Six of Wands to me feels like these are people around us that don't necessarily understand the depth of the work that you're doing, and therefore they might feel um, impatient with you, aggravated with you, maybe even annoyed at times. You might find yourself in the month of June maybe fighting with some friends because they don't feel like they're understanding you, or that you might feel judged a little bit. I don't feel like this Six of Wands is a really malintentioned card. I just don't feel like they get it. That's the best way to describe it. Like, I feel like they don't quite understand where you're going. That Two of Cups card up in the soul space to me speaks to this idea of having deeper relationships, even if that's only within ourselves. And this Six of Wands is kind of like, why put yourself through that torture? Is the feeling that I'm getting. So be mindful of that if other people don't quite get you in the month of June, or why you're doing the work that you're doing, or feeling the feelings that you're feeling, or looking at the past and trying to release it, trying to let it go. They may not understand that. They might even verbally say that to you. Don't let that get in your way is what I want to, like, keep the focus on you, keep your focus on the present moment, keep the focus on why you're doing what you're doing. There's a huge gift to be had here, is my feeling. All right, so the next outside influence, let me just see what this is. Oh, beautiful, is Justice. Okay. So justice to me is sort of this understanding, or this idea that there's opportunity here to be heard, to be understood, even if other people aren't understanding you, or maybe you're feeling judged by them. There's some like giant transformation. It's interesting because Gemini had only one major arcana card, and it was in this position also. They had the Hermit. To me, the Justice card isn't necessarily like the Hermit. To me, the Justice card is about, whatever went on back here, there's an opportunity to heal this, release it, and we're going to do it through this opportunity for justice, through seeing these things and learning about them emotionally, and challenging ourselves enough to kind of let those things go. No matter what other people say or think, or their perceptions, we could be potentially getting burned by the Six of Wands in a way. The Six of Wands could represent people that have burned us in the past, that might still be around us, that we might need to let go of also. That could be connected to this Ten of Swords. Old patterns, things like that just no longer serve us. Justice to me says she's coming in with her sword and her clarity, and the opportunity to bring about like a reset. But we have to be willing to sort of feel the emotions. We have to be willing to sort of do the work. We have to be willing to learn new points of focus, new intentions, new sort of self-care modes that are going to enable us to kind of use this as a sort of a stepping off point, so that we can start to learn about how we feel, how we want to feel, what we believe we deserve. Kind of let these fucks go, if that makes any sense. If they're sort of standing in our way, or they're, not understanding why we do what we do, then maybe they're not the people for us anymore. They might have worked for a period of time, but maybe now they don't. All right, so this next card is the potential outcomes card. This card tells me sort of where things are going to naturally progress to, barring that nothing major changes, right? So this card could represent as a, this card is not set in stone. It could be a warning. If it's something negative, we can use free will and choice to make choices now to avoid this outcome. But if it is something that is positive, we can take heart in the fact that it's naturally just heading the way. We're naturally heading towards this, and we can just allow it to unfold. All right, so let's see what this is. Okay. So this is the Two of Pentacles. To me, this is all about material, physical balance. I don't necessarily feel like this is about money for my Aquarians. I feel like this is about feeling more at peace by the end of the month of June. Feeling balanced, feeling stable. It wouldn't be as much stability as, say, like the Four of Pentacles, but to me, there is this aspect of like union. I also love that we have this Two of Cups up here emotionally in the spirit space, and then we end on this Two of Pentacles, which says to me that there is this sort of joy, this balance, this kind of peace that comes over us from having done this work. Some of you may have released some relationships or had to back off of some people, like the Six of Wands card and this Justice card is giving us the opportunity to sort of do that in a very right, clear, concise, just sort of way. That's the justice aspect. And there's also an empowerment with that Justice card that I feel like is going to happen for my Aquarians. But in doing so, this Two of Pentacles brings about this sort of balance. This could be financial balance too for some of you that might feel unbalanced financially, but I don't feel like the focus is on money as much as I feel like it is on feeling just at peace in our day-to-day world by the end of June. You know, she's kind of like sort of dancing there with all of those birds around her. She feels happy. To me, there just feels like there's this new world or this new self that we might be dealing with by the end of June that feels really good in our environment. That's the physicality of the Pentacles of this card. It doesn't necessarily feel about money per se. It feels about like just feeling really centered and good and new, fresh, balanced in our life. I hope that makes sense, Aquarians. I think it's a really nice outcome because we have this sort of mental energy of this Ten of Swords. We have this Two of Cups as the goal, and we have this Knave of Chalices here, or Knave of Cups in the center. So we're learning a lot in the month of June, but by the end of June, we feel like what we've learned, we've actually put it to good use, and it's starting to sort of show up in our world through our experiences, through our maybe even for our finances, in our home, in how we feel about ourselves. That's this Two of Pentacles. All right. So that is your forecast for the month of June. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, all of you that have watched, you can always book a private reading with me. I can do your month of June just for you specifically. It would be more specific on different feelings that I have about cards and things like that, and maybe give you more concise information of what you might be experiencing in June. If you are interested, you can always send me a message at my Facebook business page. Please go to my YouTube channel, like, share, comment, subscribe. Please share this video out. Follow me on Instagram at AngleGuys333. Tune in, and we will see where this is all going in the month of July. Thank you so much, my air signs. Have a wonderful birthday month, Geminis. And I'm going to go over to my YouTube channel now and set off today's forecast for the morning because it is way late. And thank you all for bearing with me. I will be doing water signs tomorrow in the morning. All right, have a great day, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.